Hi, it's First Lady here, and I am in the kitchen today. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to cook some of my famous homemade meatballs. And my husband loves meatballs. And I usually make them with spaghetti. So I'll do spaghetti and I'll do a homemade spaghetti sauce with the meatballs. And so that's what I want to do today. So I hope that you guys come along with me as we make some famous homemade meatballs. All right, so I just want to set the camera down and let you guys see what we're going to be working with. All right, so I have my handy dandy KitchenAid chopper. I'm going to use that. And I'm just going to chop up this onion. And I have some fresh ground beef here. And this is actually about almost 3 pounds of ground beef. It is the 85% lean, 15% fat. And so I get these at Aldi. As you can see, the price is, it's not too bad, $11.35. So anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So let me give you guys more of a bird's eye view as to what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm going to just start by taking the backs off of this onion. I'm going to peel this onion. And the thing about onion is that when you're making meatballs, you want to give it a little bit of flavor to make them moist and not too dry. So I just do a little bit of like chopped up, finely chopped, grated onion into my meatballs. So I have that. I'm going to just use this bowl here to incorporate the ground beef. And of course, I'm just going to use this bowl and just basically just dump the ground beef into the bowl and just keep on working. So I have several seasonings here that I want to show you that I use when I'm flavoring my meatballs. Now remember, if you want to know how I do meatloaf, the meatballs are a little bit different, but if I'm going to be making meatloaf, I'm going to be using like onions and green bell peppers and all that into the meatloaf. But this is the meatball. So I'm just going to use some onion powder. I'm going to use garlic powder. I'm going to use some onion soup mix. And that will give it the salt that it needs and kind of the oniony flavor along with this raw fresh onion. I'm going to use some Italian seasoning and some Italian herb. And so these are just seasonings that you can just pick up anywhere. So I'm just going to start with a little of this onion soup mix. I won't use the entire bag of this seasoning packet because if you look at the sodium content on this, it's like 580 milligrams of sodium on the back of this onion soup mix. So just read your labels and use the amount of salt to taste for you. So I'm just going to use maybe a little less than half of the bag, and then I'll save the other bag for another recipe. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and start with my seasonings. The Italian seasoning is really good here because you want to give it that Italian meatball flavor. Oh my gosh. And this has different seasonings in it. It has marjoram, it has oregano, thyme, rosemary, savory, basil, and sage. So this seasoning here has a ton of different ingredients in it to give it that Italian flavor. Same thing with the Italian herb. This is just adding a little more of the Italian flavor, okay, to your meatballs. Now, I could add some raw garlic, but I'm just going to do my garlic powder. If you want to add raw garlic chopped up, you can definitely do that. And so I'm going to add onion powder. So it's really going to have a really good oniony flavor. And when I put these meatballs into the sauce, they're going to be amazing. But What I'm going to do is I'm going to make these meatballs up. As you can see, I've got it pretty well seasoned. I'm going to make these meatballs up, and I'm going to actually freeze them for a later time when I know I want to use them to make a pasta dish with like spaghetti and meatballs. So just know that you can freeze these meatballs. They really do freeze well. And so I'll show you that once I get all of this incorporated. So let me finish with this onion. I'm going to slice it up a little bit more, and I'm going to get it to where it can actually fit into this chopper, because the big pieces won't go in as well as the smaller pieces. So I'm pretty much going to do a whole onion here. So you know how I like to kind of show you guys the recipe sort of from start to finish. So I'm not, you know, leaving off any steps. And this is one of the best gifts that I ever received one year. I know I probably have said this before, but my kids used to help me in the kitchen. I used to have them to chop up the bell pepper, onion, and celery. That's what I used to do with my mom. And so I used to have them doing that. And they were like, you know what? We need to get you a chopper. So they got me a chopper. And so now they don't have to do all the chopping for me. I can use my chopper. So now you can look at this mixture and you can just see just how flavorful it's going to be. You can smell that onion, and I'm going to use all of it because I really want the onion flavor to be prominent throughout these meatballs, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that I think I've gotten them seasoned just how I want them to be with this soup mix and the onion's going to make them juicy, keep them from being too dry. So I'm just incorporating, and you can get in there with your hands and do that. I'm going to do that when I get ready to ball these meatballs with my hands. I'm going to have to form them with my hands. So now you can see just how these meatballs are going to come together. So now I'm just going to show you a couple of them. All right. I have preheated my oven, and I preheated my oven to like 350. And so the oven is already preheated. So now I'm just going to go in with my clean hands and form these meatballs. Now, ideally, you want to make these meatballs to where they are pretty much maybe a golf ball size amount. And so I'm just going to form these into balls. And I'm, like I said, what I want to do is when you cook them, you will cook them in the oven on 350, but I'm not going to cook them totally today. I'm going to actually freeze them. So what I'm going to do is, you see how I formed this into a ball? Let me just show you one more. Oh, that onion is strong. All right, so form this into a ball. Okay, just use your hands and form them into a ball. Okay, so now I'm just going to keep doing that. And what I'll do is I will come back and I'll show you what it all looks like when they are all done. And I'll show you how many I put together. All right, be back in a bit. Okay, I am back. And I just want to show you guys these wonderful meatballs that I have made. Now you can see in this pan that it actually made 12 good sized meatballs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cook them now. I'm going to actually freeze them. And you can do that with your meatballs. They freeze really well. So you know how you buy the package of frozen meatballs in the store, either at Sam's or Walmart or wherever, and they have those frozen meatballs. Well, you can do the same. You can make your own meatballs and you can freeze them yourself and pull them out when you need to cook them. And so when you're ready to cook them, I'm going to make a spaghetti and meatballs. You can actually just put them into a pan, sort of like this one that I have here. This pan is a caraway pan. It's a really good, heavy, non-stick pan. And I love it because it cooks evenly and it doesn't need a lid or anything, and it will cook these meatballs to perfection. Or you could put them in your crock pot, however you want to do. And the wonderful thing about it too is that you can actually cook a few. If you don't need all 12, you can do half, you can do 6 and keep the other half in the freezer. So I hope you try this. And when I get ready to actually cook this and make this into a meal, I would definitely do the next part of the video and show you what it looks like. But I just wanted to show you some of my meal prep because sometimes I don't have time to do the whole thing all in one sitting. And so it's good to sometimes do part of it, freeze it, and then do the rest later. So anyway, I hope you guys try this. Try these meatballs, homemade meatballs that you make on your own in your own kitchen. And I hope that you try this. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, give me a comment, and let me know how you make your own homemade meatballs. Anyway, love you guys. Continue to be blessed.